Greetings. Welcome to Tanesia's Locks, Beauty Tips and Potpourri. Welcome to the channel where we get it all in. I hope that you are doing well today, that you are feeling peaceful, productive, and prosperous. We're going to dig in because you know my videos get to be too long, and I'm going to do my best to stay on point. Today we're here to talk about all of the things that I wish I knew before I got Sisterlocks. I have a long list of things. I'm going to break it into 2 videos. I'm going to go over 13 things for you in this moment. And then in the next video, it's going to be called 12 Things People Don't Tell You About Sisterlocks. So you can search that on the channel. It'll go out within a week after this video, all right? So let's go ahead and dig in. If you haven't purchased my book, Manifesting Your Masterpiece, okay, which is a guide to up-leveling and living a life in a prosperity consciousness mindset, your best version. Make sure you get that book. It's a great addition to your library. Okay, let's go ahead and dig in. And stick around. Somewhere in the video towards the end, I will put one of the ads or commercials in for the infamous I Am Melanin Magic Hair Oil, which is responsible for this, the additional locks that I have, and many other women on the channel who are successfully using this to regrow hair in places that they haven't had hair in years. You can use this serum or the magical hair growth serum, but I'll show a commercial for that, and I'll also put the information in the description. Number 1, this is something that your loctician may downplay or not really say a lot about, and unless they have a head full of long sister locks, please don't listen to whatever it is they say, okay? And that is that as your hair grows, it will have a little bit of weight to it. Now, the amount of weight that it's going to have as it starts to grow is going to be almost not even marginal. It's going to be what's little minuscule. It's going to be almost to where it's undetectable until your hair is at about maybe this length. As it starts to get a little bit longer, it's going to become a little bit more cumbersome. You guys can see this; these are curled, but my hair is very long. You're going to start to notice it more when you're putting on your clothes. It's going to get caught in your collar. You're going to have to gently, it's going to get caught in your bra strap. When you go to sleep at night, it's on your pillow. When you're in the car, it's rubbing on the seats. So you're going to have to, look at this, see? Guess I didn't do a great enough job taking out my pipe cleaners. You need to make sure you pull it around like this so that it's not rubbing on things. But the point is, depending upon what products you put on your hair, which is why you should use I Am Melanin Magic Oil, and what products you don't, you're going to feel the weight of growth. It is what it is. You're going to feel a little bit of weight. It should not be that much. If it is, you're putting too much product on your hair, or you're not washing thoroughly enough. In between washes, not in between, during washes, you may not be washing thoroughly enough to get out excess product, which is very, very important no matter what you're using. So they will carry a little bit of weight. They will become a little more cumbersome, and you will have to treat them differently even when you wash your hair. Number 2, the more you obsess about the grid and whether or not it's perfect, and mine still looks good, all right? But the more you obsess about the grid, the sorrier you're going to be. And I'm going to tell you why. And I'm fine, a lot of people, okay, that are going to tell you this, all right? But people who obsess about the grid, obsess about retightenings, they get the retightenings too often. The retightenings are done all the way to the scalp. They need those parts to be a certain way, so they obsess about everything related to the grid. And ultimately, as far as I'm concerned, it's this obsession with the grid that eventually and indirectly can cause, or directly can cause, hair loss, because the more retightenings you do, the frequency that you do them with, the speed at which they're done, and the level to which they are tightened causes lock trauma. Meaning it damages the hair follicles, and you will be in for the shock of your life if that is your preoccupation. So tell your loctician consultant, after that first install or that second install, you don't require that it be skin tight. You shouldn't leave out of there feeling hurt, maimed, and upset after you get a retightening, okay? Which is another reason why it'll be a wonderful thing for you to use that I Am Melanin Magic Oil. Look at the testimonials on the site. Look at my hair, but look at the testimonials in the commercial or in the ad that will help to overcome some of the natural things that you will encounter in your lock journey that can actually have the reverse effect of creating a head full of abundant hair, but can actually be the reason why you lose locks or you eventually have to take them out and cut your hair off. Y'all, this is serious, and I'm very serious about this because I'm well into my journey. And the last thing I want to have happen is to have to start all over again. But I'm monitoring every single thing that I do, and I'm watching very carefully. And if there's any issues that I have with my locks, it won't be because I didn't give them the nutritive support that they needed, whether that be external support through vitamins and supplements like sulfur and zinc and B12 and folic acid and so forth, or through external stuff. Like the internal stuff is the vitamins, the external stuff is what I put on my hair. Number three, yeah, watch out for doing too frequent reties. It is an occupational hazard in a sense that you be told that you need a retightening every 4 to 6 weeks in the beginning. That is obscene. That should be against the law. The lock police should come and lock them up for telling you that. Be very mindful. You know what your hair care needs are. Do you remember ever getting a relaxer every 4 to 6 weeks? Don't think that you need to get this done then every 4 to 6 weeks, because that extra stress on your hair, that's the difference between getting 10 to 12 retightenings every year versus maybe doing, I do mine every 10 to 11 weeks. I'm not saying you need to do that either. That's my thing. That's my story. Okay? Doesn't have to be your story. But if you consider, let's say I was doing mine 3 times, I would be getting 4 to 5 a year. Let's say I get 6 a year. 6 versus 10 or 12, big difference. More trauma, more drama. Watch my videos on retightenings and you'll get more information about that. I'm trying to move through the video because I tend to talk a lot. And I want y'all to stick around because I want to pull an oracle card for those of you who make it to the end. Number 4, avoid extensions. And we can talk a little bit more about that later. Now, avoid extensions unless they're your own hair. Okay? Now, I put one in the other night because I took out the one extension that I had for an extra lock. I can see I didn't do a good job. I guess I might have lost my baby. Is this the one? Maybe that's not the one. Let's see. Where is it? If the extension is your own hair, that's a different story. If you lose a lock, keep your lock. Don't ever get rid of them. If you cut them all off. For me, I fooled around several weeks ago. Y'all know I pick lint. I use the tweezers. Don't do what I do. And it got so thin, I just snatched the lock on out. And I decided to keep it to replant it up here. Because with these little locks starting to fill in, I think I've added throughout my lock journey maybe 7 or 8 locks in different places. And so if you're going to add an extension, let it be your own hair 9 times out of 10. If it's not, the extension eventually is going to get too heavy. It may not look heavy in the beginning. It may not feel heavy in the beginning, but these are not traditional locks. The root base is very small. It's not as dense as a traditional lock. Eventually, your hair, your root bed is going to detect the difference between the weight of that thing that is attached to your hair, okay, and your lock, and eventually it's going to start to thin at the connection point. And what that's going to do is mess up the integrity of your lock. So beware. If you do it, make sure the person who's doing it knows what they're doing, and please don't do it over your whole head. Please don't. I would try it in one place for about 6 months before I put anything in my head at all, okay? Number 5, when you first get your locks, they're going to look very thin. They're going to look dainty and beautiful, and they're going to be shrinking up, reaching for the sky, and they'll be bouncing and wavy, and you'll be thinking, oh, other than the plucked chicken look where you see the grid, you might just love it because you can see the pattern. It's going to be beautiful. Da-da-dee-da-da-da, da-da-dee-da-da-da. It's not going to stay that way. Your locks will double or triple in size, which takes me to the other sub point. And that is, if you have somebody that's putting in your Sisterlocks and they look too big and they look bigger than the way they should. Now, you know the 3 sizes that they put in your hair, small, medium, large. If they're looking a little too large, be mindful because that lock is going to swell. And for me, my lock swelled, and it wasn't until maybe year 5 or 6 they started to compress and then thin, all right, which is what happens when they mature. But I would have even loved to have had locks that were thinner than these. Most people think my locks are thin. I don't really feel they're thin. I feel more like they're medium. I've seen folks with thicker locks. Okay, next. Moving right along, moving right along. Okay, yeah, number 6 that you won't know. No one tells you this when you're getting your install. The most they may tell you, your loctician, is your pattern. They might show you the tool or something, but you know, everything about this feels secretive, which is ridiculous. I'm an inquiring mind. I like to be self-reliant. I like to know what's going on with my hair. I would have liked to have known in the beginning, but you won't know what to ask because you're new to this, which is why I'm telling you, and I'm glad you're watching this video. And that is that the Sisterlocks proprietary method that is implemented with the grid has small locks, typically in this area, medium in here, they get a little larger towards the back most of the time. Most locticians will follow that particular protocol. For me, I liked mine a little more uniform throughout. What that essentially means is the locks over here in these areas will be a little bit thinner. Up in here, they may feel a little bit thicker. My hair is in this area was always much thicker. So after the first or second retightening, I remember having Efraj asking her, would she mind thinning out several locks? I might have done over a period of time, maybe 10 or 15. She split them for me. She advised me of my rights. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be held against you in a court of law. Was read my Miranda rights, just joking. But she let me know that this would affect my grit. I don't care about the grit. I'm not one of those sisters that feel like if you use another tool to retighten, you don't have Sisterlocks. If you don't have 500 locks, you don't have Sisterlocks. If the loctician, whatever, all of that stuff. Look, if I paid the money, if I got the grid, if the person who installed used the tool, okay, and they were Sisterlocks certified, I got Sisterlocks. I don't care what I do after that point. But if that's what the deal was, I have Sisterlocks, and so do you, okay? So be mindful of the difference in the sizes so that you don't have any unrealistic expectations thinking they should all look the same. And make sure you're at peace with that. And if that's something you're not at peace with, then talk with your loctician before you make a commitment to see if they're willing to kind of be flexible with that. Number 7, your hair is going to be a lint magnet. I don't care what anybody tells you because life is lint. Dust is lint. We shed skin cells which become lint. There's everything in this living environment. You are living in a vacuum of livingness, and your hair will attract everything. It's like the law of attraction. Your hair is like a magnet for everything. So you should be shaking out your hair every day. If you do this when you're in the car, when the sun is shining, you're going to see all kinds of stuff just drop. And you're like, oh my God, that was in my hair. But this will be magnified by products that you put in your hair, which is why it's important to wash thoroughly, which is why it's important to ensure that you are shaking your hair before you ever wash it. Because if you don't shake your hair before you wash it, whatever's in your hair is more likely to become lodged in there, okay, without your permission. Number 8, it is better to dye your hair before you get locks. Go for the gusto. I would say if you know you want to get these locks, I would do some pre-planning. I would, get my hair in really good shape, especially if I wanted to dye. I would go on and dye my hair. I would take the maximum lightening that I might possibly want, because once you get it to the maximum lightening, over time you can always put a rinse over it to get that same vibrancy. But once you get the locks, once you develop the lock and you go with a lot of lightening, it does weaken the integrity of the lock. Take it from me, I've dyed for, I don't know now, with rinses, I've been doing rinses the last couple of years. Prior to that, I dyed maybe 2 to 3 years off and on over a period of time. But I'm thankful for my Melanin Magic, because I'll tell you, it has fortified my hair over time. After the first 2 years, it was the only thing I used, and I saw the difference, which is why I took the time to put something together for myself, for my own particular hair care needs. So if you are going to dye, strengthen your hair before dyeing. Try to do it before you get your Sisterlocks. Give yourself at least, I would say, 6 months. I don't care what they say. I'm saying at least 6 months to really fortify and strengthen your hair. Number 9, which is if you do dye your hair, know that it's going to change the texture of your hair, meaning it's going to affect the level of softness. My hair has never gotten back to the softness that it used to be before I actually colored my hair. It's gotten much better than it was once I stopped the actual dyeing and I started using the rinse. But that very soft feeling that I remember has never really returned, although it has improved dramatically. Also, the dyeing can begin to cause your ends to unravel a little. If you like tight closed ends, you want to be careful of that. For me, since the beginning, I've always opened my ends, so that's no thing for me. I liked the open ends. I thought it gave that goddess look, and I just liked that. And my hair was curly on the ends for quite a while in the beginning. So when I thought they were going to start to close up, not all of them ever closed anyway, I would just take a push pin and kind of open them. I don't suggest doing this early in the journey, okay? Please don't do that early in the journey. Don't do anything that's going to jeopardize the lock or affect its ability to form and do what it needs to do, okay? I'm doing pretty good. I'm at 15 minutes. Yes! Number 10, apple cider vinegar and a diluted Dawn mixture is good for deep cleaning. If you ever get to a point to where you feel like your hair needs a deep cleanse, or you want to move out some of the color that you have in your hair. I'm not talking about necessarily bleaching. I'm talking about color that you may have on your strands, like auburn or something like that, or black or whatever. Dawn helps to move some of that out. I had a video, and I'm going to put up in a few days. I might have put it up already. I don't know when this one's going to upload, but where I use the Dawn and I show myself putting a mixture in my hair to wash my hair to see what comes up. And it did bring things up to the surface that I couldn't see with the naked eye. And I'm an OCD person when it comes to lint. Trust me, if you're new to this channel and you watch the first year's worth of videos, hell, it's going to seem like half of them is about me obsessing about lint. I spent plenty of time. That's how I damaged a lot of my locks due to my impatience. But nevertheless, I can't stand lint, and lint loves me, and lint is going to love you too. All right, number 11, wash your hair more than once when you wash it. Obviously, if you're new to the journey, you will be braiding and banding, which is wonderful. So that doesn't have to scare you. If you're within the first 2 to 3 years of your journey, like I braided and banded up until a year or two ago, even sporadically. And sometimes I'll still braid and band now, even though I haven't in a while, because my hair gets so heavy. It's just easier to wash and manage in the shower with it being braided and banded. But the point I'm making here is don't just get in the habit. I did this for the first, almost 6 years. And that's why a few years ago, I had to make some changes with the blend, and I had to also, I was considering cutting my hair because my neck was bothering me. And this is one of my areas where I store tension, and it just seemed that I could always hear that joint back there. I could feel that tension because my hair was heavy. And not only was I over oiling, which I don't suggest you do. You don't have to over oil. Now, this oil is extremely light. This is the proprietary blend that is the best mixed and the best of all worlds. And it's more powerful than the one that I used to use prior to this. But it's 8 ounces. Imagine the weight of this being in your hair and never coming out. No matter how light it is, over time, the cumulative effect is going to go somewhere, right? All right. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. It's just changed in form, right? So when you wash your hair, if you wash it thoroughly, you're not going to have a problem. I used to wash my hair just one time and be done, because I wash my hair infrequently anyway, because once I was able to solve my hair issues with my own little regimen, I didn't have to wash that often. And any given time, I can look at my scalp, and my scalp looks great and it looks healthy. And that didn't used to be the case. I don't believe in overwashing your Sisterlocks. I think the elements and what's in our water, and the lack of mineralization, and the lack of the amount of mineralization, the lack of alkalinity, and all of those things, the chlorine and everything else can dry your hair out. I don't believe in overwashing, but when you do wash, at least wash 2 times very thoroughly. Okay, number 12, like I said, use lighter oils. If you don't use this blend and you're using something else, use the lighter oils. Don't put that avocado oil in your hair. Don't put that coconut oil in your hair. That stuff is heavy. Be careful. Over time, it's going to weigh the hair down. That's just me. Definitely you wouldn't use castor oil in your hair unless you were spot treating areas where you've lost hair and you were doing this. That's not for all over head application. Even if you mix it, it's going to be too heavy. All right, it's going to leave a residue. Now, that is in the Magical Hair Growth Serum, which is not this one. And that is because the Magical Hair Growth Serum, not this one, is specifically designed for people that have had issues with alopecia and hair loss, and they haven't had luck with other things. Not to say that it will work for you, but it's going to help your overall situation, and many ladies will combine it with that one and they will be fine. But it is thicker. It has a heavier oil in it. It has the black seed oil, which is a heavier oil. It's got the castor oil, which is a heavier oil. It's got some other stuff. So you just want to be mindful in making sure that you use lighter oils if you know that this is going to be a style that you're going to have for the duration of the journey. Because what you do now, if you're new to the journey, is what you're going to pay the price for down the line, y'all. Nobody gets out alive, whether it's this or something else. Everything that you're doing, see it as an accumulation that you will eventually experience the culmination of at some point, and you'll be able to point back and say, I have this problem because I did this for all those years. So just be cautious. Don't over oil. The Sisterlocks don't need a ton of oil. If you're oiling down the length of the hair, you may want to consider, like I have, the spray bottle, or putting some in your hand and just doing this. Do not sit up and saturate your locks. It's going to be messy, and plus it's unnecessary. Okay, last but not least, number 13, remember there's going to be a part 2 to this video, but it will have another name, and the name is going to be 12 things people don't tell you about Sisterlocks, to give you the other 12 things. There's an infinity of other things that I could add. I'm just trying to give you some of the most important things in these 2 videos, okay? But this last one is a reminder to dry your hair well when you wash it. Or make sure your hair, if you're going to dry it naturally, that you're in a space where it can actually dry naturally very well. You don't want to go to bed with wet hair if you know it hasn't dried properly. It's kind of like when you put clothes in the dryer and it dries halfway, but then it sits for the next day. By the time you go back and get it, if you're not a starter and a finisher and you don't wash and dry within hours of each other, it's going to have a sour smell. That is going to breed fungus. It's going to breed mold, and in some cases bacteria. You have to be careful about that, especially if you have a very dense head of hair and you have a lot of volume. Even if you don't, the last thing you want to have to deal with is lock funk. All right, that guards against lock funk. But lock funk and washing your hair in the wintertime and letting it air dry and it never fully dries can be problematic. Washing it in the summertime at night when you're in an air-conditioned house can be problematic. So in that case, you might want to blow dry halfway first, or just let it, the blow dryer, just put it around it and dry it out some, give it a head start, and then let the rest of it air dry, or make sure you're outside in an environment where it can dry. I did it, yes! And I'm going to pull a card. I'm at 23 minutes and 28 seconds, y'all. My videos be hitting 55 minutes. It was the last maybe 3 videos ago. So I am proud of myself and happy. Give me a thumbs up if y'all like the shorter video. No, give me a thumbs up if you missed the longer videos. I love y'all. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. With Tanisha Ali, trying to give you some beauty tips about these Sisterlocks, or talking about other things that are potpourri. Right now, I'm going to give you the message from the Oracle card, which is always going to be at the end of my videos as long as I remember. What is the message for anyone that's tuning in? What does the viewer need to hear? What is the message to meditate on at this time for the viewer that is watching? Ooh, ooh, ooh. Ooh, y'all, this is an ominous card. I didn't even know this was in the deck. Ooh, okay. Underneath we have sword, make the change. Something you need to cut out of your life. All right, this message is specific for someone. This is the underlying energy. There's something you need to cut out of your life. You need to take a good hard look at yourself. This could be a habit you need to break. That habit could be a person. And then we have this card now. Wait a minute, before I go into that. This is number 7. This is number 8. I'd say that's a pair, 7 and 8. Take a look at that image, y'all. Ooh, and look at the message. Shark. Ooh, we swim away from this situation. Just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. There's something in your life you need to cut out. Looks like it's a partnership. This thing is toxic. It's not for you. If this message is for you, you know who I'm talking to. This could even be somebody that you are in a high level commitment to, even a marriage. Okay, that's not part of the message, but it just happened to be on the bottom of the deck. So there's a toxic situation that's been swimming around you for a while, that you have been nurturing, that you have been feeding, and it is feeding on you, and it has become toxic. And in order to save oneself, sometimes we have to cut off a limb, no matter how close that limb may be to us. And so this is a situation where somebody's in your life, they don't deserve to be there. Somebody's sucking on your blood and sapping your energy, they don't deserve to be there. So this is saying, move them out, get them out. Look in the mirror, take a hard, cold look at the situation, and be willing to make those cuts or have those tough conversations that you need to have with yourself. Even though she's in the mirror getting ready to cut her hair, I doubt that it's about that. It's more about the things within ourselves that we need to straighten out. So you may have some habits as well that you want to begin to pay attention to. If it's not working for you, and if it doesn't feel good, move away from it. Okay, it's that simple, but it doesn't feel that simple when we have to move away from something. These types of relationships where you have that shark energy like this, shoot, these types of energies, and this could be a parent, it could be a child, it could be a lover, it could be a job that you need to cut out. You're looking at yourself in the mirror, this person doesn't appreciate you, or this organization doesn't appreciate you. It's time to sever the tie. But these situations are often, they have an addictive quality to them, which makes them not easy, because usually they are karmic in nature, which means they are here to teach you a lesson. And typically with these people, you have some type of soul tie with, or some type of karmic covenant with. If you want to learn more about that stuff, make sure you go to my Butterfly Transformations channel. If you're interested in getting an oracle or tarot reading, or you're interested in a Reiki healing session from a distance, this stuff transcends time and space. So where you are in the world has nothing to do with the quality of your service. If you're interested in that, look me up in the description, and I'll be more than happy to serve. I love you. Have a beautiful rest of your day.